Welcome back to Wave of Docker. State of the Orioles address. First one in 2 weeks. I've actually kind of been just doing these in 2 week increments. I feel like that's I think last year I was doing them every week. Or last year I was doing series previews, but now I'm just doing, 2 week kind of catch ups. But all that's happened in 2 weeks. Well, let's see. 2 weeks ago, it was May 4th. No, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, when did I talk to you guys last? Was it after the Royal series? Hold on. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo was. Oh, we had an off day. We had just lost that series to Kansas City. And then since then, we have gone, let's see. So 3 losses, 1-3, 1-4, 2-4. We've gone 2-10 since the last video. And yeah, it's been ugly. But you know what? We fired Brandon Hyde. And I feel like the consensus was that was a good thing. And I agree. I think, Brandon Hyde, all respect to him as a father, a husband, and a man. I thought he was a very charismatic, I don't know, I enjoyed Hyde as a person. Like, I always think back to the 2023 All-Star break, when he was announcing the All-Stars, he was like, Cano, Hazy, Bautista. I thought that was just a really great clip. Kind of just showed, obviously everybody in the club respected him. You saw Adley in tears talking about him after he was fired. But I think as a baseball move, you kind of have to move on from a guy like that, especially after, everything that's been going on this year and the last almost total year of Orioles baseball since, that Yankees series at home. Or, yeah, the one after the series that we walked off where Verdugo misjudged the ball. A funny story about that. I was on my way home from a men's league game, and I was listening to it on the radio. And after Volpe fumbled the grounder to get runners on, was it second and third, first and second? I forget. I think it was second. I think it was first and second because it was Adley at second, Mountie at first. Whatever. But after Volpe flubbed it, a weather alert came on, and it was 5 minutes long. And then after the weather alert was done, I heard post-game Jeff Arnold talking about the game, and I was like, wait, did we win? And then he was beating around the bush, and he finally said oh, you talked about the walk-off. I was like, I missed the walk-off. But regardless, since that series, we've been. Hold on, let's look back a little bit here. Baltimore Orioles. Let's go with the 2024 Baltimore Orioles. So let's see. So the All-Star break. What series was that? Was it this one, June 20th? I think so. No, I was at that game. That was in New York. There was another Yankee series at home, I want to say. Maybe I'm just dumb. No. Once again, you're getting this stream of conscious content. Hold on. Let's just go to stat views. Baltimore Orioles record since July 4, 2023. No. 2024. Whew. There it is. There's that Yankee series. July 14th. Yeah, because we closed it out with that walk-off. That was the MLB Network game. Oh, actually a better record, I think. 14 games under. But man, that's just. It's been ugly. But I digress. Back to the Brandon Hyde thing. I'm of the belief, and this is kind of, how I felt, or I didn't feel this way, but looking back on it, talking to, I was 10 years old in 2014, talking to people who were more, of the collective conscience of Baltimore Orioles fans and not just, obviously a 10-year-old kid who loves the Orioles because his dad loves them. The consensus kind of was, in retrospect, we should have hired Buck Showalter, or fired Buck Showalter after, winning 96 games, winning the AL East, and then losing in the ALCS. He got us out of that rebuild. He got us, 2012, and 2012, 2014, he obviously stayed through, I think 2017. But, you dig us out of a rebuild or dig us out of, kind of the blank years of Baltimore Orioles, and then you get us to this point. You kind of have to, you know, um, shift mindsets. Like, Brandon High was a great player or great manager to be, all these young guys' first skipper and then get us out of that rebuild. But once you win 101 games and, like 40 of those were by one run. That's obviously an exaggeration, but you get the point. We were very lucky in 2024 or 2023. 101 wins. A lot of them were one run. A lot of them were comeback. Like there was a lot of luck involved and a lot of scrappy play. You win 101 games. Have what was it? Like the second best record in baseball. I think only what was the other 101? Was it the Dodgers? That was at the 107 win team. They lost to the D-backs and the DS. I think so. I mean, we were a top 3 team in baseball, at least by record. The best team in the American League. Oh, man. I'm like, I can't even believe that even happened at this point. But that happens. You need to kind of shift gears at that point because, your team was led by, 24-year-old at that point, or like 25-year-old at that point, Adley Rutschman. 21-year-old at that point, Gunnar Henderson. With Mullins, Hazy, Tony, and Mountcastle kind of being your vets. Obviously, Adam Frazier's there, Kyle Gibson's there in the rotation, but you kind of have to shift gears and not just be like, oh, I mean, I'm a Sacramento Kings fan. First year of Mike Brown, we win 48 games in a very injured West. The 3 seed behind the Grizzlies and the Nuggets, we lose in 7 to the defending champion Warriors. We look at that team, and obviously Monte McNair and Mike Brown are dearly departed at this point, but they were like, you know what, let's just run it back because obviously, we can do that again, even though the conference was insanely injured, and there were like tons of sleeping giants in the West, like Minnesota, like Oklahoma City. And then, the next year we lose in the play-in game to New Orleans, winning like 43 games. And then the following year we win like 36 games and, we trade our franchise face into Aaron Fox. Like that's kind of the mindset that Mike Elias has been sitting on his hands, I feel like, since the Trevor Rogers trade. Well, actually, no, the Rogers trade was before Eflin trade. But obviously, last trade deadline was very mixed opinions. I love the Eflin trade, hated the Rogers trade. Even like the day of. Like, I was like, I feel like, we got Eflin for a bag of chips. I feel like we could have gotten more for Stowers and Norby. Like, honestly, I think he could have packaged in a little more, sugar and spice in there and gotten Alcantara, even though he was injured last year, but still. And there was just too much, nothing going on, and too high expectations with nothing going on. Like Elias in the front office seems to think, 101 wins, really young team. Let's, get an ace on a rental, and also we were ridiculously healthy in 2023. And there's not enough dramatic change being made. And this Brandon Hyde firing, granted we were on a 6-game losing streak, but I think that kind of just shows that the front office senses that something needs to change. And obviously I think I want Elias out the door next. Like if we, what's this road trip coming up? How many games is it? 6 games? 7 games. Like if we go 2-5, like if we have a losing, I don't know, I think 3 and 4 is relatively successful, especially against these teams. But if we go, 1-6, 2-5 on this road trip, I think you kind of have to look at Elias' seat being hot. And he was the one that was on the press release for the Brandon Hyde firing, so I'm not sure if he's, I feel like Rubenstein's kind of holding on to him, but I feel like you kind of need an additional step to be made. Because the Brandon Hyde firing was great. I thought he put out 2 really great lineups, and we just, couldn't pitch for shit. And ironically, Eflin gave up 8 earned runs, and then the bullpen only gave up 2 over the final, 3 innings. And the offense was, whatever. But Holiday's hitting really great. And honestly, this may be a little, I don't know what's the word, like, sad to kind of say, especially after winning, 192 games over the past 2 seasons. But I've kind of shifted my attitude and perspective for the season of like, if we can just develop our youth talent and, win, 75 games, I think that like from where we are right now, that would be a win. And obviously, that is just such a fall from grace over the last two seasons. You know, at one point being, you know, the top team in like every network's power rankings last June. But you know, if Holiday can go out there and slash like 280, like you know, have like a you know 850 OPS, maybe get an All Star nod. Because I mean, honestly, if I'm looking at the roster right now, it's between like if we were to get even one, I mean, every team gets one. I feel like if he's at this pace, it'll probably be Holiday or Sugano, um, which is like whoa, like that's like going into the year. That's also, I mean, Gunner's on the up and up. But I mean, if we can have great seasons from Holiday, Gunner, if Adley can somehow turn it around, um, I think if you can get at least 25, 27 starts out of Kramer, Povich, Sugano, like if you can get those guys to have sub fours come September, like I think there's a lot of because like you kind of have to, and obviously I looked it up this morning. Like we have to go 75-42 over our last 117 games to win 90 games, and with that math, we have to go 66 and 51 to be above 500 this season. And I mean that's possible. Like that's happened before. Teams have gone on that sort of run. I think there's the talent in a vacuum can do this. I think it's just this kind of a mindset thing, and our hitting lab and hitting coaches are kind of a bunch of doofuses with rocks in their brains. But I think there's a lot of little wins. Like you kind of have to shift it back to 2022. Like we won 83 games in 2022. It was Adley's debut season. Gunnar eventually made his debut, and so did Westberg. Like I think you kind of have to, instead of trying to go out there and win every night. Obviously they're trying to do that, but I think we kind of have to shift the mindset a little bit if we want to be happy people. That's kind of how I am. I'm just like, you know what? If we can go out there and get good games, like a good start out of our guy, like I don't know. I'm just like, for my sake of enjoying my favorite team, I kind of have to. I can't be going into each game expecting us to win like we did on opening day, which is just crazy. Like looking back on opening day, winning 12-2, hitting like a zillion home runs, Eflin with a great start. I was like, man, the season's gonna be great, and then we go out and lose 8-2 the next day. Charlie Morton, like I was thinking, like, is this like the craziest vibe shift from opening day to 45 games in? Like this is the worst we've been since 2021 when we were amid a 19 game losing streak. Like this is insane. But I think there's a lot of good that can still come out of this year. We still have a zillion prospects. I feel like Mike Elias has to. I feel like you have to be buyers at the deadline. Like there's still, at least like 3-4 years, at least of Gunner. And I mean, I think Adley's probably going to ink an extension on the offseason or something if he somehow turns it around. But like, I think, I don't think the window has been slammed shut yet. I think, I don't know. I just think we need to still get rid of these hitting coaches. I think Elias, like, I see people online saying that Elias should not be GM come the trade deadline, and I think I'm inclined to feel the same way about that. Like I think, especially after what he did last season at the trade deadline. I don't know. Like I think there's still a lot of good that can come out of this year. Like I said, Holiday's hitting the shit out of the ball. I think he's probably like I would love to see him be our all-star nod. Over his last five, 2 hits, 3 hits, hit, 2 home runs, 5 RBI. He's getting on base. I don't know. I think he's like. I mean, look at this. Look at that slash. It's beautiful stuff. He's rocking it. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of said a whole lot of nothing this season, or this video, and that's kind of how all the videos have been. But I don't know. I'm not out on the 2025 Orioles yet. I think, teams have dug themselves out of similar holes before. And like I said, like the talent in a vacuum is capable of winning these games. And obviously the pitching is like the worst rotation we've seen since those, what are we doing? Since those rebuild years. But I don't know. I don't know. I still have faith, and maybe I'm just a hopeless romantic. But I mean, this is my favorite baseball team. Um, and I still I love all the players on this team. Like, there's not a lot of guys that go out there that I kind of dislike. And honestly, Charlie Morton, I mean, as a long relief guy, he's been kind of great. He's kind of been edged out of our rotation a little bit. But I mean, over his last few appearances, um, look at that: 4 1/3, 1 earned run, 3 innings, 1 earned run, 2 innings, earned run. He started this game, and if he starts, he sucks. But I mean, 1 inning, 2 earned runs. That also kind of stinks. But I mean, those last 3 games, that's 10 1/3 innings and only 2 earned runs. Like, that's 6 strikeouts. Like, he had this nasty curve. I want to say Josh Bell. I'm curious if I can find that on Baseball Savant. I probably can. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not out on this team just yet. And like I said, maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I'm just, a hopeless Orioles fan. But I don't know. I still love. I'm obviously gonna love this team until I'm dead. But oh man, look at that! Holy shit, that's crazy. Not random video. Actually, does Pitching Ninja have it? You think? Pitching Ninja, Charlie Morton. I need to find this because that shit was so nasty. And don't look at the scoreboard. 1 month ago. Man. Hold on. Pitching. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not out on this team just yet. Like I said, I think we kind of need to take small victories as the year goes on. And like I said, I mean, 75-42. It's happened. It's happened before. It's not impossible by any means. But, is it unlikely? Yeah. But, like I said, tiny victories. If Gunnar can go out and, have a 6 WAR year, I think that'd be awesome. If Jackson Holiday can go out and have, like a 3-4 WAR year, I think that'd be awesome. If Adley can, obviously dramatically turn his season around, that'd be awesome. Like, I think everybody on this team is capable of being great. It's just, I saw someone online saying, like, everybody on this team has managed to have the worst season of their career. And that is a little dramatic, but I think that is just kind of how it feels. Like, everybody, like, when the pitching is great, the offense, like, we'll lose 1-0. If the offense is great, the game will turn into a slugfest and we'll lose, like, 9-8. I was surprised he didn't post this. That was, like, a really great curveball. Let's see here. Come on. Okay. Oh well. I mean, it has to be somewhere. I really want to find this. But yeah, I just think there's a lot of good that can still be taken from this season. Obviously, unless we just continue to shit the bed and we have our worst season since 2021, which would just be, like I said, an immense fall from grace. But I just think this team has it in them. And, this is the first new series with Mancelino at the helm. And I think that could be huge. It's, like I said, a 7-game road trip. Milwaukee and Boston's nothing to scoff at. Already lost a series against Boston this year. But I don't know. I can't help myself from believing in this team. I really want to be able to find this. Come on. I'm just gonna click through these. But yeah, I just think that, like I said, there's still just a lot of good that you can take from this season. And I think that's, obviously you can be a doomer, you can be a, lost season kind of guy, but it's May 19th. And like I said, there's still 117 games more games left. I mean, you saw the Tigers last year have an immense turnaround. The Mets last year, obviously those turnarounds weren't as immense as what we would have to do to get in their position that they were last season. But whatever. There's talent on this team. Like I said, this is the first new series with a new manager. I have to believe that the hitting coaches aren't just doing the same shit every day. I kind of just have to, either lie to myself or just, I don't know. There's too much year left for me to be like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I will be still tapped in to my birdies. The season is not dead yet. And if in 2 weeks we go, I mean, how many games do we have between now? 2 weeks from now is the second. So let's see. How many more games do we have until the second? I will go on record and say that the season is dead if on June 2nd we are, well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 games between now and June 2nd. If we're 20, no, hold on. 13 games. If we're 18-40, if we go 3-10 on this next 13 games, I'll call the season dead. I think that's my handshake deal. But I think over this next 13 games, I think let's go 10-3. Let's fucking do it. Let's win series against Milwaukee. Let's split the series in Boston, and let's win. Let's rattle off 6 straight wins against St. Louis and Chicago. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Go O's. I'll still be going to games. I still have like $550 in my Orioles ticketing account that I bought at the start of the season. This is my team forever. Look at that. You can't even see that. Always and forever. Go O's. Dean Kramer gonna have a gem tonight. Gunnar Henderson's gonna hit 2 home runs. 13. We're going 10-3 over our next 13 games. You heard it here first. And if not, the first frame of the State of the Orioles address in 2 weeks will be me crying. All right? We're doing it. Season's not dead. Let's go, O's. Peace out.